Hi, this is Sweet June coming back at you. SJ Talks in Life. I got it on this Umar Johnson Warren Kanye about issues with Kim Kardashian. This video here. He's talking about that, but he's also talking about in this video he was mentioning um, black women, and I watched another one of his videos that he did. I think the video he did before this one, I think he was talking about black women being with white men. And there's some things that he said in there that I didn't agree on. Now, I know Dr. Umar Johnson is 100% pro-black, and I like Dr. Umar Johnson. I like him. I think that I love his passion for the black community, his passion for black people to be unified, and I can appreciate all that because I too want um, the black community to be better, and we need about 2 million more of him. But it's some things that he says that I don't agree with. Well, I don't agree with the two wife theory because he seems like he promotes polygamy, and that doesn't line up with what the scriptures say. Some people get confused because I know in one of my videos a guy came in. Which video was that? Or what, did I make a comment? It was either a comment I made or one of my videos. A guy said um, that it talks about a man having two wives in the Bible or something like that, and I told him that there's a difference between an account and what people get Bible accounts mixed up with um, commandments. Um, the Bible is like a storybook. It tells you different things, just like uh, prostitution or something. All those things took place in the Bible, but just because it took place in the Bible doesn't mean that it's okay for us to do it. It's basically giving you an account of what happened during those times. It's telling you what happened during those times, and if you read and study, you know, the Bible is probably the most complicated book in the world. You got to really delve deep into it and study it, and it tells you a lot of those things that did happen in the Bible. It also tells you the consequences that they had to suffer from doing those things. But God says, "Let there be one." Let every man have his own wife, and every woman have her own husband. So I mean, He makes it very clear in the scriptures that it should be just a man should just have one wife. Polygamy is not promoted in the Bible. It's telling you about different accounts where men had many wives, but that doesn't mean God condoned it. Prostitution was in the Bible too. Does that mean God condoned it? Adultery was in the Bible. Does that mean He condoned it? Homosexuality was in the Bible. Does that mean He condoned it? Murder was in the Bible. Does that mean He condoned it? No. You know, just because certain things it's telling you a story about what happened in those days. If you read further, then you a lot of times when those people was doing that stuff, they serve, they suffer the consequences. It'll also tell you the consequences that they suffer from doing that stuff. So I don't know. It's just people have to study the Bible. I'm still learning. I still got a lot to learn. It's you never graduate from the Bible. It's a you gotta study. Who graduates from the Bible? Anyway, that being said, he believes in polygamy, and I don't agree with that. He thinks that um, Cynthia G was looking at her video, and she was pointing out some her and some of the women that was on her chat made some very excellent points. He wants black women to be um, to not date out. I know in this other video he is trying to discourage black women from, and in this one too, he's trying to discourage black women from going outside the race. Um, um, he do it like a lot of black men be doing, be trying to say, well, you know, the white man that is going. I mean, there are certain realities that sometimes if you're in a interracial relationship, he did point out some factual things that sometimes their family members could have a problem with it, and this and that and the other. That's on both sides, but just basically like a lot of black men do, is say things to discourage black women from dating outside the race, marrying outside the race. But what he doesn't realize that statistically, marriages between black women and white men, it's a statistical fact that marriages between black women and white men are more successful. We don't know exactly. I'll probably do a whole nother video talking about that. I'm baffled and still trying to figure out why that is. There's some videos on here where people are giving possible theories as to why that is. I don't know. I've never dated outside my race, so I'm trying to figure out myself why that is. Like I said, a lot of people are giving possible theories as to why that is, and there's white men that are giving theories as to what they think as to why that is, and black women. But I'm still trying to figure that out. The only thing I can say is it just seems like it do appear that white men are more marriage minded. They appear to be more marriage minded than black men. They they seem to be more interested in having a complete solid family structure than the black man. They're definitely more marriage minded than black men. I will say that. Um, so maybe that might have something to do with it. Hit me up in the comment section what your thoughts are and what you think. But this is the issue I have, and I can appreciate Umar trying to. I'm black love first myself. I'm black love first too. But then I have to look at the facts presented before me. I I think black men and black women should get together, get married, and have stronger black families. I've always said that. Yes, we definitely need more stronger black families. But this is what the problem is. And I pointed this out in this comment section. This is what the problem is. First of all, there's a we outnumber black men by 2 million. I think it's 2 million more of us than, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 2 million more of us than it is black men. There's a large percentage of black men. I'll do a whole nother video talking about this. There's a large percentage of black men that just simply don't like black women. They're making it very clear on here on YouTube and social media that they don't like us. A lot of black men are colorist. They only dates black women that have certain shades. So that's an issue there. Colorism is the issue. It's so complicated. I was thinking about how complicated this is. Certain percentage of black men that's in prison. And when I do my other video, I'm going to actually break down those numbers. Or I'm going to look up those numbers and actually give you actual numbers to those things. But it's a certain. I know. I was over my friend's house one day, and she's single. She's single too. She also has two sons. Me and her are the same age. And her neighbor down the street, which happened to be a minister, but he was also a singer. Um, we was talking about us being single, and he looked at us and said, "I don't see why you two would have a problem," meaning that we're attractive. He said, "Well, you know what the problem is? Your husband is in prison." Me and my friend looked at each other. I'm like, "What?" This was years ago. We looked at each other. Huh? I said in prison. So it just put a lot on my mind, and it gave me something to think about. Really, really put a lot on my mind. So basically, what he's saying is a large percentage of black men are incarcerated. So unless you want someone that's in prison, he ain't gonna. That man ain't gonna be. That black man ain't gonna be available to you. And there's a large percentage of black men that are gay. See, nobody wants to have these black men never wants to have these conversations. They're not ready for these conversations. They don't want to have these conversations, but the facts speak for themselves. Hypothetically speaking, I mean, if every black man in the United States desired a black woman, if every black man in the United States didn't date out and they desired a black woman, there would still be a shortage of marriageable black men for every black woman to marry. That is a fact. And this is something that Umar Johnson doesn't realize. And when Cynthia G was pointing out, which was a very valid point, does he want it's either what are you advocating? You want black women to a lot of black women desire to have children, to have a family. They don't want to be single moms. Yes, believe it or not, there are a percentage of black women that do not want to be a single mother, and they want to get married, actually want to get married before they have their children. I got black women in my family that have that mindset. So are they supposed to just live the rest of their life? If they're waiting on a black man, are they supposed to just be single for the rest of their life and forego motherhood and being a wife altogether, which a lot of black women are doing? Or, the, would it be the best thing, or would be them to do what is in their best interest, would mean to expand their options to other races of men? So if they expand their options, okay, they may be able to be a wife, to be a mother. So basically, what I think he's advocating is either black women share their husband or they remain single until they find a marriageable black man, which may never happen. I'm just keeping it 100. So I got black women, my nieces, one of my nieces, my other niece, she's actually with a Middle Eastern young man. She's engaged to a Middle Eastern young man. He's a very nice young man. My other niece is still single, and she's almost 40. So, um, yeah, I mean, do black women, remain single and childless until they get a black man, which is a possibility that might not happen, or do black women expand their options and to other races of men? And then, there is, if you expand your options, then there's a possibility that you may get, yes, there are issues associated with marrying outside the race, particularly if you marry a white man, because of the history between black and white people, the horrible racist history, and the racism that's still going on. Unfortunately, and you got a lot of people that still, got that racist mindset, and so this whole thing is just complicated. There's really no easy answers in this scenario. It just seems like he's advocating to do it. If he really loved black women, which he say he do, then you would want black women to be happy and do what's in their best interests. But at the same time, he's pro-black, which, like I said, I can appreciate that. And I'm an advocate for black love too. I'm black love first all day long. But then when I look at the facts, when I go to crunch the numbers and look at the facts, that is a large part of why a large percentage of black women are single. Now in the 1950s, the marital rates were a whopping, oh shoot, 80%. Correct me if I'm wrong. The marital rates with black women were 80% in the 1950s. And I think a lot of that had to do with Jim Crow, the Jim Crow era, black men not really having a lot of access to white women. Black people were more unified then because there was a lot of things that were going on back then as far as the revolution, the civil rights revolution, and all that stuff going on, segregation and all those things that went on in the 50s and 60s. Black people, I do think that sometimes black people done got too free because black people were more unified then. There was more black love then. Black men loved black women more then, but back then. So black men really didn't have a really big access to white women at that particular time because of what was going on racially in this country at that time. So um, I think at that time we did have stronger, because my mother married my father in the 60s or in the early 60s, yeah. And so, and they divorced in the early 70s. I was 5 years old. So, yeah, 50s and 60s, the marital rates with black women were really high. And that's because black people were more unified. And they say in 1970, it slowly started declining. And I think they blamed the welfare system for that. I don't think it was entirely the welfare system. That's debatable. Let me know in the comment section, but I don't think it was entirely the welfare system. They're saying, oh, the welfare system said the man had to be out of the home. That's debatable. I think there were some other factors involved in that. Times were changing. We were out of the civil rights Jim Crow era. We were coming out of that era into another era. So options for black men were a little bit more, better and stuff like that. So I think there's some other factors involved. It wasn't just about that. We were going into another different time period. So it just seems like, my thought is when I hear him say all this stuff, he's talking about how black women should be raised loyal and stuff. I said, well, why don't you tell your brothers to stop bashing us and stop being colorists and you know you need to promote that more. And he do get on the black men, but when you look at all those factors, a large percentage of black men that don't want black women, they only marry a certain black woman that's a certain complexion, if they get married at all. And black men statistically don't value marriage as much as men of other races. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, there's a lot of factors involved in the reason why. And there is a large percentage of black women that are race loyal, and that's why statistically black men date and marry out more than black women do. Is because now they say that number is slowly going up with black women marrying out, and the reason why is because black women are starting to wake up and realize that, well, it's like we're spinning our wheels here, trying to wait on a marriage of a black man. We're kind of spinning our wheels, and black women are tired. And when you hear the divestment community here on YouTube, black women are tired. Black women are getting tired of all this disrespect and all this disdain that black men have for us. We've been getting publicly bashed by our own men for years now in the music, and they've been doing it in the music. Now they're doing it on social media, at alarming numbers. So black women are just getting, when you listen to the divestment channels and stuff like that. I Even though I don't agree with everything they say, I agree they have some very valid points. Is that It's really sad that there's no love amongst our people. It's really sad, but stay tuned. I'm going to address that in a different video. But let me know. Hit me up in the comment section, black women and black men, what your thoughts are on Umar Johnson. You think he's right in saying, black women need to stay strong and stay race loyal and wait on this marriageable black man that may never come along? And um, do you agree with him? Because we need to, be unified. Yes, I agree with all that, 100%. But I don't know. It's complicated. So hit me up and let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are on that. And until the next video, peace and love.